Good evening. This is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. I'm going to try to make this video a little quicker than the last one. So we'll dive right in. First thing I want to do is take a look at the radar this evening. You can see this isolated cell that's popped up north of Summitville. You can see it's on GR level 3. And the only reason for real pointing this out, you can see Summitville's getting a decent shower while most of the rest of us aren't getting anything. As this warm front's moving through, we've got some pop-up showers going on. And once the warm front passes, it'll be there'll be a lot more of this kind of stuff. It'll be less widespread over the weekend, but there can be these little pop-up cells over the weekend. And once we get on the warm front side of that, where there's a little more instability, we could have some very, very isolated and severe thunderstorms. As where those storms do pop up, localized heavy rain could happen. You can even kind of see that up here to the north, a couple of counties north. You can see this heavy core of rain up there. So it's just going to be this kind of patchy rainfall that's going to be possible over the weekend and into next week. There's not any organized system coming through, just this instability where there's no way to know exactly when or where storms could pop up, but where they do, again, they could be heavy. The afternoon and early evening are going to be the prime times for it. So with that said, we're going to go back here and I put this together in presentation, try to be a little bit faster. So I just want to take a look at the pattern, kind of just an update from what I talked about last night, and do it in a little more of a still fashion. So what we're taking a look at here is the 500 millibar pattern. This is getting into next week. It's really where where the uncertainty is. So this is the European for next Wednesday afternoon, and you can see that we've got these. We talked about the geopotential heights. Let me zoom in a little bit. I talked about the how the 588, the 585 to 588 line, kind of in between that, can be a setup for some thunderstorm clusters. There's no guarantee that they pop up, but if they do, they'll generally, in these kind of setups, they will right along the just north of the 588 line a lot of times. But once these clusters do pop up, they can start to spread out some. So we saw it a little bit earlier with the storms that were in Ohio and northeastern Indiana, but yet we were under their cloud deck for a little while. So that's possible, and that'll be one of the caveats to how hot it actually gets next week. Will be, if these storm clusters do pop up, then they can keep us cooler than what would happen if we stay, sunny with no precipitation. Jump ahead to Friday. Kind of see this little. We kind of discussed this last night. We need to see what this low pressure up here in the northeastern U.S. does, how far it backs up. It'll only be able to back up if this high pressure out here to the west kind of retrogrades a little bit, which the modeling is doing. It's kind of what happened in the Bering Sea a couple of weeks ago kind of bears this out a little bit, although I think they might be backing up just a little bit too much. But nonetheless, the European, I think, is the closest on this. And you can see in this red dash or this yellow dash line again, that's where the potential exists for some storm clusters to develop. I think next Friday might be our best chance for some widespread rainfall. I think the setup may be a little more conducive next Friday. We'll see how that pans out. That's still a week away. And as we've seen over the last few months, the pattern's done a very good job of lying about what it's actually going to do versus what it shows. And then we'll take a look going on into next Sunday. Again, the European really has this, back this off a little bit. The European kind of allows this trough to back in a little bit because it moves the high pressure farther out in the core of it, farther into the southwest. One of the things I wanted to point out, a difference, I'm going to show you the GFS for the same period here in a minute. But the European, you can kind of see the orientation of the ridge out west is kind of laid back, kind of more in a negative type of a tilt, and then the trough to the east kind of lays out a little more like this, and that's that kind of lays out a little more of a gradient, a little more east to west, and makes it where we'll be in. This would be more of a temperature, even though you see the blues in here. The temperatures will be a little more close to average, maybe slightly cooler than average, versus being very much cooler than average like the GFS wants to do. Um, GFS is a little faster though. This is next Sunday. The GFS actually gets the cooler temperatures in here faster, and then starts to recover faster, which is what this is showing. But what I wanted to point out that is kind of weird to me is that the GFS, it's got this more vertical, more north to south ridge orientation, and the trough is a little more north to south. And what that does is, if the ridge heights pop higher, that of course will make the trough dig deeper. But the up here in this upper corner of this, I've just found this interesting. You look at the geopotential heights up here, and it's got five. If this will stay focused, it's got 537 heights way up there in the southern Hudson Bay. That's like winter time, or like late fall, early winter type of heights. So I think that's a little bit overdone. This would be next Sunday. As we'll just see how this happens. It would keep the storm track a little closer, kind of over central Indiana. And again, this is a long way out. I think that's overdone based on what happened in the Bering Sea back probably around the 11th or 12th. I would think the European is a little closer on it, but I just wanted to show you what the GFS had, because that would be, if that pans out, that would be pretty impressive for this time of year to have that strong of a low pressure, that low of geopotential heights this time of year. So we'll see what happens. It could happen. Sometimes the GFS kind of sniffs these extremes out. Here's a look at where things stand today, and the main point in this is, I'm always talking about the Bering Sea, and Indiana would kind of be somewhere in this region. You can't lay these out exact, but the general idea is this would again be in 17 to 21 days. The western ridge, eastern trough idea just kind of sticks around. So what we've been seeing is kind of what we'll continue to see probably. Where we'll get these shots where these troughs will kind of dig, retrograde back, and we'll get a couple of days, maybe 3-4 day period where we're cooler, maybe go cooler than average, but then we'll pop right back to being warmer than average. There's really, to me, not a big sign that that's going to change. One of the caveats might be these, if one of these typhoons out here in the Western Pacific would decide to recurve, then those can inject some cooler risk into the forecast. So we'll see how that all pans out. Right now, these have been continuing west because they're sliding underneath the ridge of high pressure. I'll have to deal with the East Asia rule with you at some point, because what happens over kind of the Korean Peninsula, you can move that forward about 8 to 10 days, and that's what we have here in our part of the country. So you can see the ridging that's going on there. So probably right there, early August, we'll begin to recover and go back warmer. But we are going to maybe have a few cool days next weekend and into very early next week. So we'll just see how this all pans out. It's a long way out, kind of speculation. But and the last thing I'm going to touch on is potential rainfall. These models. Up here in the upper left is the National Weather Service blend of models, and it really gives us almost no hope. This is total accumulated precipitation over the next 10 days, and the blend of models really gives us almost nothing. Just something that could pop up here or there. You can kind of see this patchy convective nature. I do think it's a little underdone, where these convective cells pop up, could drop a lot of rain in a hurry, but in general, it doesn't give us much hope for rain, and that's probably pretty close. We'll take a look over here at the GFS. It's pretty robust over the next 10 days, but it's robust to our south, our southwest. Again, I think it's overdone with how far it retrogrades that trough to our northeast. but again, we just can't rule it out at this distance. And we'll take a look down here, the Europeans down here in this lower corner. And again, it's just kind of patchy, kind of, I think it's, again, maybe a little more onto it. Gives some areas maybe an inch or so of rain, others not much. You can't pin down the locations this far out. But again, the basic idea is some are going to get some heavy rain potentially, while others get next to nothing over the next 10 days. It's just the kind of pattern we're in. There's no way to know exactly where that happens. We'll take a look at this is the forecast I just posted a little while ago to all the social media. And again, it just kind of shows you that, we're going to be generally warmer than average until we hit about next, front, maybe next Thursday or so, that might cool us down. At the moment, I'm leaning toward us staying in the low to maybe mid 80s, not really dropping into the 70s like the GFS and even the Euro have for a day or two. But know that just beyond this forecast, it's possible we could be in the 70s next weekend. I'm really not leaning that cool yet, but we'll see. And just as a nutshell, we're generally expecting warmer than average over the next week or so. And potentially, we will be a little bit cooler next weekend. How cool remains to be seen. Then we'll potentially warm back up as we get into August. Might be kind of hot by the second week of August. We'll see the Madden-Julian oscillation play a role in that as well. That's another one of those things I really need to do a video just kind of explaining how these things work instead of just throwing them at you. Again, rainfall, maybe we might have some better rainfall chances into early August. That remains to be seen. GFS thinks so. It just remains to be seen. Potentially drier than as we get warm back up into mid-August. That's all subject to change, because as usual, at times we're going to be right on that gradient line where a little move to if the ridge is a little stronger, we're hot and dry. If it's a little weaker, we're cooler and wet. And there's just no way to know for sure. But this is just kind of an overview of how things are shaping up over the next week or so, week to 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. And I've run into 12 minutes. Again, I just can't seem to help myself. So at any rate, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out, go to Madison County or go to madcoweather.com and become a subscriber. I'll start getting better at these videos, getting them a little more condensed, and you'll start getting those to your email if you're a subscriber or a repeat donor that meets a subscription level that I've yet to set. So if you like the videos and you want some more details in your forecast other than just a graphic showing up, every day or two on Facebook or Instagram, then definitely subscribe or become a repeat donor, and you'll start getting your weather alerts straight to your emails, your forecast straight to your emails, these videos straight to your emails, and I'll probably come up with some other things as well. So there are going to be some benefits to being a subscriber and financially supporting this page and helping us get better. So with all that said, this is Micah Mitchell with Madison County Weather Updates. I hope you have a great weekend. Hopefully the weekend will be dry for us so we can enjoy them, and maybe we can get some rainfall in here and get lucky over the next week. And that's what it's going to be, is going to be luck. So you all have a great weekend. Again, Micah Mitchell, Madison County Weather Updates. Thank you very much all, and thank you to our sponsors. I'd be remiss if I did not mention, Joy Mitchell, Cincy Independent Consultant, Madison County Federal Credit Union, Anderson Symphony Orchestra, and Community Hospital of Anderson. Very much appreciate them. So, and if let them take care of any of your needs if they come up. So, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later.